No, we're not going to go to questions just yet. Can you let them both introduce?
So I'm Katrine. I'm the director of Freddie Langach's Swahili translator. And where do I start? I made this film. I am South African, but I grew up in Cuba, and Freddie was like a father, mentor person to me. We were among the well, not the only two, but the few permanent Africans living in Cuba for a long time. And so he kind of took me under his wing. And so when his family found him after 40 years of being separated, it was the most natural thing for me to want to try to somehow support him to try to go home. And so, as many of you can imagine, doing that from Cuba is very difficult financially and bureaucratically. And so I had this crazy idea. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm an anthropologist, imagine. And so, and I didn't know anything about film. I didn't know anything. And but I thought maybe this is a good way to try to raise money and then say we're going to document his story because he has such an interesting life, and that way we can get him home. And so we had some friends who had a camera, and I had a friend who actually knew how to use it. And so we just started, filming him to make a trailer, like the little pitch thing. And then I started sending it out through friends who were leaving the island to go somewhere, and there would be a mail system that worked. And anyway, to make a long story short, we actually got somebody really interested in helping us, a very well-established film fund. And we were all very happy and excited, and we thought, wow, we're going to get some money. And by this time, I'd already tried to get Freddie a passport, which he didn't have. And he was from a country that at some point was called Zaire, and then it was now the DRC. And it was really difficult to, and there is still no embassy in Havana. And so we would have to go through DC, and Cuba-US relations are horrible. So it was a nightmare. And the security system in Eastern Congo is very tough. It's one of the most dangerous places on this planet. And then we, sorted out many of those obstacles, and we got so close, and then he passed away. And I went into very deep depression because he was like my father. And so something very odd happened, which was because the film was made to help him get back home and to reunite with his family. It was never, I never made a film to make a film. I made a film to help him get back home. And so with his death, the film died too. And we only had 14 hours of footage from for the trailer. And so what happened was that I, in my grief, started writing lots of articles about him and obituaries, and lo and behold, a lot of newspapers actually picked up the story, and I'm sure because of Che Guevara, but they got published, and then the BBC picked it up and actually did an interview with me in the World Service, which is something that you can hear all over the world in all languages. And it was aired, this interview about Freddie, in 17 countries or something like this. And so I ended up getting literally hundreds and hundreds of emails from people from all over the world telling me that they really identified with his story and his pain and his, the pain of family separation because they're migrants, and there's a very universal story there, and his is unique in a way because it's sort of Cuba, Africa, but it's not. It's a very human story, right? And so they always ask me, so when is the film going to be coming out? And then I would always have to say, well, it's not going to happen. But it kind of gave me sort of this boost to look at the material I had, which I never really went back to, and I said, well, maybe we can do something with this. And so we ended up doing this, a short film and paying homage to him, and it's been a really amazing thing because this is not a low budget film, it's a no budget film. We made this on zero.
There is a difference.
And we, it was really interesting because we had lots of people who knew him and me, and really pitch in, and everything was done, as they say here in this country, pro bono, and I mean, really, it was like that. And so only, and then we finished like I don't know, 7 months ago, and it's so amazing because we've shown it in South Africa, in my home country. We've shown it in Cuba. We've shown it in the African Film Festival in New York, and it's a wonderful experience, and it gives me great pleasure to share his story.